Welcome to Armchair Athletes. I kind of sound like the EA Sports guy.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Dang it. Armchair Athletes. Gosh dang, I should not be a voice actor. That was terrible.
What's up, guys? How you doing today?
How's it going, guys? I'm Reno.
I'm Ed.
And this is the Armchair Athletes, and this is our NBA preview where we go down my rankings. This guy right here's rankings of worst to best basketball teams this upcoming season or during this season, because it was kind of coming out during the beginning of the season. Last time we talked about Houston Rockets and James Harden's fabulous beard and his not so fabulous decisions. And in this episode, we're talking about the Golden State Warriors.
Yes, sir.
Warriors come out and play.
Phenomenal movie. All right, let's talk a little bit about what they did last year. Reno. So, Warriors were the last team in the league, worst team in the league, 15-50, not good. Obviously, they lost Steph Curry for most of the year. Klay Thompson didn't play at all. The team was not good. They were not good. They went, like I said, 15-50, and that was for the 15th seed. So let's talk about a little bit what they look like.
Man, that was a bummer. Steph Curry being injured, Klay Thompson being out, KD being gone. Draymond's not a number one option. He's not a number two option. He's a glue guy that helps the team balance. So really last year it was an audition of Steve Kerr to see who's going to stay on the team next year. He checked out Andrew Wiggins. He checked out Jordan Poole, Damian Lee, Marquise Chris. He checked out all these young Eric Pascal. What was that?
D'Lo at the beginning of the year.
Eric Pascal. This was an interview for the young team to see who is going to stay on this year. Because if Klay Thompson stayed healthy, this was a championship contender and it would be way higher on the list with him and Steph and the rest of the pieces they got around them. This would be a fantastic team with those two players as the focal point. But we all know what happened. So that's what happened last year.
All right, let's talk about what they did this offseason.
So in addition, they added Kelly Oubre Jr., Kent Bazemore, Brad Wanamaker. I like all three of these signings. Trades. One of them was trade, two of them sides. Kelly Oubre Jr. is a fantastic wing player who defends really well and finishes well. And he's a high-energy player. He's going to be their starting small forward. He is not going to be a shooter. He's not exactly a scorer. He's kind of just your overall good wing player. Kent Bazemore is a 3-and-D guy, which they need as much three-point shooting as they can because, believe it or not, the Golden State Warriors, which is going to be sounding really weird what I'm about to say, they don't have a lot of three-point shooting. So they need Kent Bazemore to shoot really well. Brad Wanamaker had really good minutes for the Celtics last year.
Yeah.
He can defend. He can score a little bit. He gave him energy. I liked Brad Wanamaker. They lost Kai Bowman. And they unfortunately lost Klay Thompson. And that sucks.
I hate it, man. I hate it for him.
It's 2 seasons.
It sucks. ACL and then an Achilles.
I would hate if this shortened his career.
Yeah.
Because this might. He's getting older.
That's true. I mean, look what KD's doing now, and he's coming off of 2 Achilles tears.
True, but KD is one of the greatest players of all time.
That's true. Klay's one of the and with Klay, shooting and defense is what he does. And
I mean, he may be back stronger than ever. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
I'm scared that he's not going to come back at that level, but he's a professional. We'll see.
And he's one of the hardest workers in the NBA.
Yeah. And, I mean, you can tell how much of a difference he makes for this team.
Oh, yeah. The gravity of him coming off screens alone, not just because he can post up. He defends really well. He's a really good passer. He reads defense as well. He's a team player. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic leader too. Him and Steph Curry are two of the best 3-point shooters of all time. So
Steph's the best.
yeah,
That's just no doubt. No, yeah, that it sucks. I hate it for him mostly. I mean, the craziest thing I've ever craziest stat I'd ever seen was he scored 40 points dribbling the ball 4 times. 40 points, 4 dribbles. Oh, that's so craziest stat I've ever seen, and it's awesome. Speaking of someone that hopefully will be awesome, we're going to move on to talk about James Wiseman. James Wiseman, 7'1", 235-pound center from Memphis. Now, before I get into kind of what he's supposed to be, we didn't see much of him play. And by that, I mean, I don't even think he played one game. He might have played one game. And then he went immediately to work. Now, is that a negative? Is that a positive?
Well, there's a legal issue is why he couldn't play because he was getting what's his name? Not Tracy McGrady. Someone else was giving him money when he was younger. So yikes. He legally couldn't play.
So, man, I don't blame that on a kid at all. So no. I would never blame that on him. But let's talk about a little of what he could look like. So he's 7'1". He has a tremendous amount of length and athletic ability, which allows him to obviously be a really promising big man on both ends of the floor. He has potential of being a paint patroller, kind of maybe like a Jokic. You could see him nowhere near that passing ability, obviously. But if he can continue to grow his game, he can have that ability to draw the defense in. And with all those shooters on the outside, taking that away, especially when Clay comes back, that he can be pretty dominant if he is able to raise his game level. He made a 3 the other day, which I thought was wild. I think one of his first shots in the game was a 3-pointer, and he drained it.
Nice.
So, and that was wild. Now his shot's the ugliest shot I've ever seen before in my life. But
Splash brother.
Yeah. Splash triplets. No, but he will be really good for them on he's really athletic. So weak side defense is phenomenal, or can be phenomenal with that length and weak athletic ability. He loves running in transition, which this team, when healthy, is a transition team. Like Steph running it's so excited for this team to be healthy because it's going to be crazy. So that dynamic duo between him and Steph on the pick and roll with Clay coming off of screens, it can be deadly. So very interested to see how that's going to play out. Again, he is a pretty solid perimeter defender when it comes to the pick and roll as well. He can not only defend the big man, but he can defend the pick as well. So that's really good. He has the ability to be a decent mid-range shooter. Again, we saw him make a 3. I think if he can work on his mid-range game, I could see him being kind of like Udonis Haslem, but a little bit more powerful. It's especially in the post. Let's see. Again, biggest issue coming out is that he only played 70 minutes in college. So what is his development? Where is he at from what we've seen? He has pretty raw skills, but his basketball IQ really needs work if he wants to do better. He has a pretty low basketball IQ from what I've seen, but I think has the potential to be, again, phenomenal because not only Steph Curry, that'll help him, but Steve Kerr is a phenomenal coach and knows how to develop players. So I'm interested to see where they will move forward with James Wiseman and this team. So let's go ahead and talk about. Do you have anything to say about him before we move on to the rotation?
I like James Wiseman a lot. I think this is one of the few times where you draft the best player available and you draft for a need. I thought James Wiseman was the second best player in the draft behind Anthony Edwards. I really liked Anthony Edwards. And I really like LaMelo Ball, but I think between those two players, I think James Wiseman was the better option. I think he's a safer option because he has less bust potential. I see him like a Serge Ibaka kind, where he plays defense but with a post game, and I really like that. Nico Mannion is a player that I really like. The high school standout who played not the best in college, but he also didn't have the best team. I think he's going to be, if he's a shooting guard, I think he's going to learn a lot from Steph and Clay. With the rotation, look at the rotation right now, and I see defense potential. Steve Kerr is a really good defensive head coach. James Wiseman, who's a big guy, who can block shots. If as long as Draymond kind of coaches him away in terms of rotations, you got Draymond Green, who's always one of the best defensive players, perimeter and interior. Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins, who has the physical tools to be a good defensive players. You have Kent Bazemore, Brad Wanamaker, Marquise Chris, Kevon Looney. All these guys are solid defensive. My thing for this team is defense. Now the issue is, other than Steph Curry, who's your next best three-point shooter?
Wanamaker, maybe.
I think it's Bazemore, but that's my point.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of great shooting. They have Damian Lee. They have Jordan Poole. Both are good young players. Damian Lee is a good shooter. Jordan Poole is more of a playmaker.
Which, as of recording, Damian Lee did make the game-winning shot for them tonight
against the Bulls. Yeah. So this is a solid team, and they did really good. Now, if you replace Clay with Wiggins, and Wiggins is off the bench, I love this team a lot more. Obviously, that's not the way it's going to work out, though. So this rotation is not bad. You have a lot of good defenders, actually a lot of good defenders, but that now in terms of offense, you don't have a lot of playmakers. You don't have a lot of scoring. Once Curry comes off the bench, comes to the bench, I don't know where their offense is going to come from.
Yeah. I mean, they might work on an inside-out game with James Wiseman, but still, I mean, if that's your game right now, then you're not going to be successful.
You're not going to be successful. You're right.
So let's. Anything you want to talk on the rotation before we move on?
No, I think we're good here. I mean, I like some of these plays. Eric Pascal played really well last year. Marquise Chris played really well last year. He was kind of a throwaway player from Phoenix that jumped around, had a lot of talent in terms of athletic, like vertical and had lateral quickness, but blossomed when he played for the Warriors. Yeah. So I think he's injured right now, but he's a really good player too. Kevon Looney, can't forget about him, but that's about it. They just have a lot of solid young players and a lot of solid defensive players, and high energy players, which that's one thing. They do have a lot of high energy players, which is going to go to my vibe check if you can go over there. My vibe check for this team, I don't think they're going to make any trades or make any moves. I really don't think that's going to happen. This team, the formula for them to succeed is play great defense and run. They have a lot of super athletic players, a lot of young players, and Steph Curry is one of the greatest offensive units of all time, him himself, his gravity alone on the court. I think if they play great defense, which they have perfect capability of doing that, and then pushing the ball and get into the hole, they can win a lot of games doing that.
Yeah.
And in the half court, just try your best to get some offense other than Curry. The issue with this team is when Curry steps off to the bench, they will not succeed because their offense is just going to shatter.
Yeah. I really like the Oubre addition because I think that's going to take a lot of him and Wiggins are going to take a ton of pressure off of Steph on the defensive end. So you can kind of put Steph on, your worst guard, or put him on even on the three if you need to, depending on size and who you're matchup with. But you can put him on their second best, third best scorer, and he could save all his energy for the offensive end. So I think that is a huge step up for them, especially after losing Clay. But it's hard for me to see that this team is going to really succeed because of just how good the West is and how it's going to be hard for Steph to do it all on his own, scoring wise.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, they scored 126 points, I think, tonight, but it was against the Bulls.
Yeah.
Like the last two games they played, I think it was Milwaukee and Brooklyn. They got destroyed. So it's like, where do they where is their ceiling with what they have is kind of my concern. That's where my vibes are right now.
2 points is number one. A lot like James Harden, I don't think Steph Curry is going to miss the playoffs if he's healthy. And I like this team more because they don't have drama. They have an established front office. Their head coach is one of the best head coaches in the league, top 3 for sure, top 5 maybe, top 5 for sure, top 3 maybe. And they have a lot of young talent who can defend, and they're a little bit deeper than the Rockets. So I like this team a lot more. Number 2, I forgot to mention, the Warriors have a $28 million trade exception, which means they don't have to financially match the salary of a player that's coming in because they have $28 million in the bank that they can use to match whatever salary that comes in, which means they could sign a shooter, maybe like a Harrison Barnes to come back, a guy who can play defense, a guy who can shoot threes, a guy who can score in the post. That's a player that I would look into. There's a couple other ones I'm not really thinking of. I know in the offseason we're all thinking about Giannis. And this is what I was kind of hoping the Bucks, I think I told you this too, what they would do with the number 1 pick. I was kind of hoping if Giannis didn't sign the contract, the max extension for the contract, they trade for for Chris Middleton and Brooke Lopez. I thought that would have been great, but obviously that didn't work out. So I think they use their trade exception to get someone who can score because that's what they desperately need is another scorer. I don't care where, just another scorer from anywhere.
And we'll go to the
or Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield would be another good one.
I agree. If they do make that move and they do bring in another scorer, then I could easily see this team being 7th seed, 8th seed, right there with Houston. I think they'll be really close.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if I could see them being the 8th seed with Steph just off of his pure greatness. But more than that, and I if they make it to the 8th seed, they're going to get ran by the Lakers.
No, I agree. I have number 1. I think they're going to use that trade exception. I like Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes, one of those players. I think Buddy Hield because they have Tyrese Halliburton at Sacramento. You might be looking to trade Buddy Hield. It's a really good destination. A young shooter who can play along Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre this season, or maybe even trade Andrew Wiggins over there, just do a complete switch or something like that. That'd be fantastic. I also think that I like their front office and their coaching staff a lot more than I like and I trust Houston's. And that's the biggest reason why I have them there. Steven Silas is fantastic in terms of what people know him as, and James Harden is fantastic. But the Rockets are a lot of question marks, but we know what the Warriors are, and we know who the Warriors have running the show. Bob Myers and Steve Kerr are a great dynamic duo, and I have more faith in them than I do in the Rockets management.
Yep. So that is our take on the Golden State Warriors, a team that was in the finals not too long ago. And who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us and make it back there again. I don't see it happening, but, anything can happen. So, guys, we hope you enjoyed our take on the Golden State Warriors. We hope that you enjoy this series. I know we enjoy filming it. Hope that you enjoy it. If you haven't seen any of our other videos, we have about, I don't know, however many previous to this, like 14 before this. So if you want to check those out, they're on the channel. We'd love for you to check those out. But with that being said, Reno, take us out.
Thank you for watching the Armchair Athletes. I am EA Sports' new voiceover, Reno Ramirez.
And I'm Ed.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Take it easy, guys. See ya.
Peace out.